People who have worked at Goodwill or other thrift stores, etc., and processed donations, what's the craziest thing you found? I was 5 years old and obsessed with being grown up. While my brother Tommy went straight for the toy section, and my sister Katie made a beeline for the dress-up clothes, I had my sights set on something much more sophisticated: a wallet. Mom had loaded all three of us into our beat-up Dodge Caravan that morning with her usual pre-Goodwill speech. This is not a toy run. We're here for school clothes, period. Don't ask me for anything that isn't absolutely necessary. She had that tired edge to her voice that meant she'd already done the math in her head 3 times and knew exactly how much she could spend. Being a single mom to 3 kids meant every dollar was accounted for. This wasn't shopping. This was strategic resource acquisition. But the moment those automatic doors whooshed open and I smelled that distinct Goodwill smell, a mixture of old fabric softener, dust, and other people's lives, I forgot all about the rules. There, sitting near the front counter like it was waiting specifically for me, was this enormous wicker basket overflowing with wallets. I dove in like I was searching for buried treasure. Brown leather ones that were too big for my small hands, pink ones covered in rhinestones that seemed too fancy, black ones with complicated buckles that I couldn't figure out, and so many with Velcro, the absolute worst sound in the world, like nails on a chalkboard but somehow stickier. I must have examined 20 wallets before I found it. Brown leather, not too big, with proper pockets, and a satisfying snap closure that made a clicking sound. It smelled like old leather, and something else I couldn't identify, maybe cologne or pipe tobacco. It felt important in my hands, like something a real adult would carry. When I brought my selection to Mom, she was already dealing with Tommy begging for a Fisher-Price garage, and Katie holding up a sequined dress that definitely wasn't appropriate for kindergarten. Absolutely not, Mom said without even looking at my wallet. Put it back. But Mom, I need it for my money. What money, Danny? You're 5. My allowance money. And my tooth fairy money. I need somewhere safe to keep it. This was a complete lie. I didn't get an allowance, and the tooth fairy had only visited once, leaving me a single dollar bill that I'd immediately spent on candy. But something about my serious expression, or maybe just the fact that it was only $2, made Mom cave. Fine, but this is it. No more begging. During the drive home, while Tommy and Katie argued over who got to sit by the window, I conducted a thorough investigation of my new wallet. I examined every compartment, every fold, every stitch. There were slots for cards I didn't have, a clear window for an ID I was years away from needing, and several pockets of varying sizes. That's when I found the secret compartment. It was hidden inside what I thought was just a regular pocket, but when I pressed against the back wall, I felt something stiff, like the fabric had never been properly broken in. I worked my little fingers into the gap, trying to separate whatever was stuck together. Something crinkled. I pulled harder, and suddenly my fingers closed around what felt like paper, folded incredibly small and wedged deep into the hidden space. I yanked it free and unfolded it carefully. Money. Real money. Not just one bill, but 4 $20 bills. Each one folded into a perfect tiny square like origami. Mom! I shrieked, waving the bills over the middle seat like I'd just discovered fire. My wallet has money in it! The van swerved slightly as Mom caught sight of the cash in her rearview mirror. She pulled into the first parking lot she could find, a gas station, and turned around to stare at what I was holding. Oh my God, she whispered, taking the bills from my hands to examine them. Danny, this is $80. $80 might as well have been $8,000 to us at that moment. That was groceries for 2 weeks, gas money, a buffer against the constant anxiety of never having enough. Mom started laughing. Not her usual tired chuckle, but this wild, delighted laugh that made her sound like a kid again. Tommy and Katie crowded around to see what was happening, and soon all 4 of us were laughing and talking over each other, examining those bills like they were precious artifacts. Can I keep some? I asked. Mom was quiet for a moment, probably calculating how much that money could help with bills or groceries. But then she smiled and handed me back one of the 20s. You found it, buddy. $20 is yours. I have no memory of what I eventually spent that money on. Probably toys or candy or some other 5-year-old nonsense. But I'll never forget the smell of that wallet, leather and tobacco, and the faint scent of someone else's life. I carried it for years until it finally fell apart, and even then I kept the pieces in a shoebox under my bed. Sometimes I wonder about the person who owned it before me. Did they forget about their hidden stash? Were they saving it for something special? Did their family donate their belongings without knowing about the secret compartment? But mostly, I just remember Mom's laugh that day, and how $80 could make a whole family feel rich.